Folks, I don't care what the keyboard commandos are arguing about on the forums today. I care about what I see moving across the gun counter, and more importantly, what I see casing deep in the brass buckets at the local range. There is a shift happening out here. Hunters are tired of chasing the latest Wildcat cartridge that disappears from the shelves after 6 months. They want logistics. They want ballistics that don't require a degree in physics to understand. And honestly, they want something that flips the switch on an animal the second it makes contact. Inflation is biting, and buying the wrong rifle is a quick way to kiss your retirement goodbye. I'm cutting through the marketing hype right now. We're talking about the hardware that is actually putting meat in the freezer this year. If you're still thinking about upgrading that old bolt gun, pay attention, because supply is tight and demand is through the roof. We have the heavyweight contender, the 300 Winchester Magnum, or as we call it around the shop, just the 300 Win Mag. This thing has been bruising shoulders and filling tags since 1963. Make no mistake about it. This is not a plinking round for a casual Sunday. This is a dedicated large game removal tool. It's built on that belted Magnum case, sending a 308 diameter projectile downrange with serious authority. Typically, you are looking at bullet weights between 150 and 220 grains. If you load up a standard 150 grain pill, you are screaming out of the muzzle at 3,300 feet per second. That generates roughly 3,600 FTLB of energy. That is enough kinetic energy to punch through the heavy shoulder bone of a bull elk at 400 yards and wreck the boiler room on the other side. I have seen this round drop moose in their tracks like a sack of hammers. It is chambered in legendary platforms like the Remington 700 and the Model 70, but you have to pay the toll. The recoil on a light hunting rifle is sharp. It is fast, and it will let you know immediately if your shooting form is sloppy. Plus, premium ammo for this beast is not cheap. Expect to shell out upwards of $50 for a box of 20 premium hunting loads, and for Whitetail inside of 100 yards, it is absolute overkill. You are going to ruin a lot of good meat if you are not careful with your shot placement. The pros here? You get massive long-range energy delivery that hits like a freight train. It shoots incredibly flat, minimizing holdover. The cons? The recoil is punishing and can induce a flinch in new shooters. Ammunition cost is high per trigger pull. It destroys too much meat on smaller game due to hydrostatic shock. The rifles tend to be heavy and long to manage the power. While the 300 Win Mag handles the biggest critters, your wallet might need a Band-Aid for the cost of practice. We have the ballistic twin to the Win Mag, but with a little more finesse, the 7mm Remington Magnum. Introduced in 1962, this cartridge was designed to solve a specific problem. How do we get Magnum performance without the shooter needing a chiropractor appointment afterward? It fires a slightly slimmer 284-inch bullet. The sweet spot here is usually between 140 and 175 grains. Launch a 150 grain bullet, and you are seeing velocities right around 3,000 feet per second. That gives you about 3,000 FTLB of energy at the muzzle. It is arguably the best all-around Western hunting cartridge ever made. Whether you are glassing mule deer across a canyon or stalking elk in the timber, the 7 Mag gets it done. The real secret sauce here is the ballistic coefficient. These 7mm bullets are long, sleek, and aerodynamic. They slice through the wind better than almost anything in their class. That means less wind drift and less holdover when you are taking that shot of a lifetime at 500 yards. Recoil is still there, do not get me wrong, but it is more of a heavy push than the violent snap of the 300. However, barrel life can be a little shorter if you shoot it hot, and ammo is still going to cost you $40 to $60 a box. Pros: incredible wind bucking ability due to high ballistic coefficients. Extremely flat trajectory that simplifies long-range firing solutions. Perfect for medium to large game at extended distances. Slightly less perceived recoil than the .30 caliber Magnums. Cons: ammo is still on the expensive side compared to standard calibers. It is overkill for close-range brush hunting. Rifles usually require a 24 or 26-inch barrel to burn all that powder efficiently. It can be hard on barrel throats over time, turning it into a barrel burner. If you want less recoil than the 300 Win Mag but need that flat trajectory for the high country, the 7 Mag is right there. the king of efficiency. And here we are, the hunting cartridge for 2026, the 308 Winchester. This is the king of efficiency. It is the civilian brother to the military 7.62 NATO. And right now, it is the standard by which all other general-purpose rounds are measured. It duplicates the ballistics of the original 30-06 loads, but it does it in a short, compact action. That means your rifle is lighter, it is shorter, it is faster to cycle. You are typically running 150 to 168 grain bullets. Muzzle velocity sits around 2,800 feet per second. Energy is a solid 2,600 FTLB. Why is it number one? Because it does 90% of what the Magnums do with 50% of the recoil and cost. Barrel life is practically infinite for a hunter. You can shoot thousands of rounds and never burn out the throat. It is inherently accurate and the logistics are unbeatable. You can buy cheap surplus ammo for practice and premium bonded soft points for the hunt. Whether you are running an AR-10 platform for hogs in Texas or a lightweight bolt gun for deer in Pennsylvania, the 308 is the answer. It is not a 1,000-yard laser beam. It drops fast after 300 yards. But inside 300 yards where 99% of game is actually taken, it is absolute devastation. Pros: massive availability of rifles and ammunition options. Short action allows for lighter, handier, and faster rifles. Recoil is very manageable for most adult shooters. Incredible barrel life and inherent accuracy out of the box. Cons: it drops like a rock past 400 yards. It struggles with bullets heavier than 180 grains due to case capacity. It is not suitable for extreme long-range ethical hunting. It lacks the cool factor of the newer trendy cartridges. It is the real deal, boys. It does everything well enough. Pure American history. We are talking about the legend, the 306 Springfield. This round is pure American history. Developed in 1906, that is where the '06 tag comes from. It carried our country through 2 world wars. But do not think it is a museum piece. For the traditionalist who wants zero compromise on power, this is still the king of the mountain. This is a full-size long-action powerhouse. We are talking about a cartridge that can effectively reach out to 1,000 yards if the shooter is up to the task. Yeah, it has got a stout recoil. You are going to feel it in your shoulder, but that is the trade-off for the sheer stopping power needed for big moose or grizzly bear. The versatility is unmatched because you can handload or buy anything from 150 grain pills for deer up to heavy 220 grain hammer loads for the big stuff. Entry level: look at a Savage Axis or Mossberg Patriot for $400 to $600. Mid-tier: the Remington 700 or Browning X-Bolt will run you $800 to $1,200. Premium: if you are eyeing a Weatherby or Sako, you are looking at $1,500 to $3,000. Pros: unmatched versatility for all North American game species. Ammo availability is 100% no matter where you are. Proven terminal performance for over a century of use. Massive selection of bullet weights for handloaders. Cons: recoil is significant and can be tiring for some shooters. Trajectory is not as flat as the modern Magnum cartridges. Rifles are longer and heavier due to the long-action receiver. It is an older case design that isn't as efficient as modern rounds. While the 306 packs the historical punch and raw power, it demands a bit more respect in the shoulder than its short-action cousin. Redefining expectations. The cartridge that changed the industry, the 6.5 Creedmoor. Since Hornady dropped this in 2007, it has completely redefined what we expect from a short rifle. It was built from the ground up to be a cheater round, making long-range shooting easier for everyone. The secret sauce here is the high ballistic coefficient. Those long, skinny 6.5mm bullets buck the wind and maintain velocity way better than the older designs. It stays supersonic longer and drops less, making those 400-yard hunting shots feel like a chip shot. The best part, the recoil is almost non-existent. It is a joy to shoot, which makes it the perfect choice for younger hunters or anyone who wants to avoid a flinch. Starter rifles. Ruger American or Savage Axis for $450 to $650. The Pro Sumpter, Tikka T3X or Bergara B14 at $800 to $1,000. Custom Precision Christensen Arms or Seekins Precision Rigs will go for $1,500 to $3,500 plus. Pros: surgical accuracy that makes shot placement easy, extremely light recoil, making it perfect for new shooters or recoil-sensitive hunters, excellent long-range ballistics that retain energy downrange. Ammo is everywhere and relatively cheap. Cons: it lacks the raw knockdown power and shock of the magnums. You might not get an exit wound on heavy bone hits. It is not the best choice for dangerous game like brown bear. Some traditionalists will still make fun of you at deer camp. Since the 6.5 Creedmoor is so easy on the shoulder, it has convinced plenty of folks to put in the trigger time necessary to master long shots. The brush gun caliber. We're going back to the roots of the American deer camp with the 30-30 Winchester. Introduced in 1895, this was the first smokeless powder sporting round in the States. It's the quintessential brush gun caliber. If you're hunting the thick timber of Pennsylvania or the piney woods of the South, this is probably what's in your scabbard. Most famous in the Winchester Model 1894 or Marlin 336 lever actions. It's a fast handling, intuitive round for shots under 200 yards. It's not a long-range laser, but it's a meat-in-the-freezer cartridge that has probably taken more deer than any other round on this list. Standard lever guns. A Henry side gate or Marlin typically runs $700 to $1,200. Budget options. Rossi makes great entry-level shooters starting around $500. Collector-grade custom, worked lever actions can easily clear $2,500. Pros. Very mild recoil that never wears you out. Ammo is available at every hardware store in America. Fantastic handling and quick follow-up shots in a lever action. Cons. It is strictly a short-range cartridge, definitely not for the open country specialist. Terminal performance drops off sharply past 200 yards. It uses a flat-nosed bullet which limits magazine design options. It is an old design that frankly lacks the velocity of modern rounds. If you are hunting deer in thick woods and need a rifle that cycles fast without breaking the bank, the 30-30 Winchester is still earning its keep. The open country specialist. And finally taking the top spot for 2025 is the venerable 270 Winchester. Unveiled in 1925, this round took the 30-06 case and necked it down to hold a .277 caliber bullet. The result, a flat-shooting, high-velocity masterpiece that has been a favorite of legendary hunters like Jack O'Connor for decades. This is the open country specialist. If you're looking at a mule deer or an antelope across a canyon, the 270 is your best friend. It launches bullets at over 3,000 feet per second, meaning you don't have to worry nearly as much about holdover at those typical hunting distances. It hits significantly harder than the 6.5 Creedmoor, but doesn't punish you like a .300 Magnum. It's the perfect balance of Magnum light performance with standard recoil. Entry-level Savage Axis or Ruger American at $400 to $600. The mainstays Tikka T3X or Browning X-Bolt at $800 to $1,200. Elite glass and steel, Sacco or Weatherby models run $1,500 to $3,000 plus. Pros: high velocity that flattens the trajectory significantly. Hits much harder than the 6.5 class. Recoil is manageable for extended practice sessions. Great balance between power and shooter comfort. Cons: ammo is still pricier than standard .27 caliber rounds. It is flat-out overkill for brush hunting smaller deer. It might lack the sheer mass for the biggest elk shoulders. These rifles are often built light, which means you feel every bit of that velocity when you pull the trigger. So there you have it. We ran from the raw power of the .300 Win Mag through the surgical accuracy of the 6.5 Creedmoor and landed on the undeniable utility of the .308 Winchester, only to see the .270 Winchester take the top spot in the other survey. These are the tools getting the job done. We are talking about hardware that puts meat in the freezer, not toys for the range bench. Now listen up. Do you trust the flat shooting velocity of the .270 Winchester, or do you still think the brute force of the 30-06 is the only way to go on big woods critters? Tell me below. If you got some value out of this, smash that like button. Subscribe so you do not miss our upcoming torture test on the new lineup of scopes. Check your chamber, stay safe, and keep your powder dry.